worried about where we're going from here. Is it this stratosphere, man? Is it the ionosphere with the madness and the mania as one guiding force? We could go ahead and take the whole.
I cannot believe this. All that has happened here on Saturday night's main event. The MegaPowers, the Madness, Macho Man Randy Savage, and the heavyweight champion and host.
Hey everybody, welcome back and thanks for joining. On the docket we have the May Supercard. Definitely some angles in the works. Perhaps taking some back roads, little detours, some little wrinkles in the story. Thanks for joining. I appreciate it. If you like the video, be sure to like and subscribe. But for now, we're just going to jump right into this May Supercard, starting with the pre-show, as the Ultimate Warrior takes on Sergeant Slaughter. Now, obviously, Slaughter is not someone I use a whole lot. You know, when I first started the sim, he was used a little bit more. Obviously, you know, based on this performance rating, he seems like someone who could be used to a further extent, but at least where it's not going to hurt his popularity too much, I felt like giving him the rub, or giving Warrior the rub, rather, was would have been an effective use of Slaughter as opposed to not using him at all. I want to get Warrior to a place to where he will be a viable option at the top, but right now there's certainly a lot of legwork yet to be done before he can even really be considered. A lot of his contemporaries are starting to really quickly and swiftly overtake him, so we'll have to, you know, keep an eye on that, and I will keep you posted without a doubt. Then on the last pre-show match, and surprisingly, I had that Warrior Slaughter match above this one, but I figured, oh man, this will definitely this match will definitely outdo Warrior Slaughter. And you know, I guess Slaughter just had more in the tank than Magnum. Magnum, I think I need to just, you know, once I use him consistently on WWF TV, we'll start to get better outcomes from him. I used him, I believe, it might have been the Southeast territory, or region rather, and he gave me like a 90 performance rating in the co-main or main event. So I think it's just a matter of getting his popularity consistent all over, and that is kind of what happened with a lot of the people who came in from the territories on their first, you know, year in. So just need to slightly build Magnum, but he certainly will have flashes of greatness depending on where we are housing the pay-per-view. To start this pay-per-view, though, on the main show, Perfect cuts a promo in the couple of weeks leading up to this pay-per-view, because there were only 2 weeks in the build-up between Saturday night's main event, which is in the archives. You can check it out if you would like. And this pay-per-view, we had Misawa kind of saying that, you know, Perfect hasn't really been so much perfect as mediocre, and that perhaps he should look into a name change. Perfect has taken offense to that, and now he is putting the briefcase, that the Money in the Bank briefcase that he won at WrestleMania 4, on the line to face Misawa. Certainly his pride getting the better of him, and it seemed to have worked into Misawa's hand without a doubt. Our first match, though, the opening bout, is a fatal four-way between four of the, certainly better workers in the WWF. And Rude picks up the big victory. And I'm certainly did not expect such low ratings from Eaton, Rude, Wyndham, Santana. I figured he was going to be the torchbearer or the match carrier, so to speak. And I'm hoping that if I continue to give Rude these kind of big wins, that it'll increase. But I'm not sure right now what exactly I'm gonna have to do to get Rude over. He certainly doesn't have a lot of marquee victories, and that is definitely a contributing factor. Hopefully this is a step in the right direction towards increasing this performance. And maybe if he has more time, I've been using him in co-main events on TV, and I'm getting similar results. So, we'll see what we do. It's still early in his development, so I'm definitely not going to cut the cord on him just yet. Wyndham, he's another guy who's young. He's got a lot of, time as his friend. Santana, certainly an already established guy. He is, an ace in the hole when it comes to really adding to any bout. Eaton, on the other hand, man, I really thought, in this technical bout with really talented wrestlers, he would shine. It wasn't a technical masterclass, although we will have one later in the show. It will actually be that perfect bout that was alluded to in the opening segment. But, I guess there just needs to be more work done towards Eaton as a single star before we're really going to be able to capitalize on it. And even the Midnight Express really hasn't gotten that much success as a tag team, so that could certainly also be a contributing factor. Here we are, the technical masterclass, and again, it seems as though, I try these different bouts to try to, change up the flavor profile of the pay-per-view, and it doesn't quite go the way that I wanted. However, Perfect had a decent showing for a different style match. Misawa, I really thought was going to elevate this. I think if his was on board with Hennig, it would have been a huge factor. It probably would have been mid-80s instead of high 70s. Regardless, it's, one of the opening matches, so it's not going to kill the rating at all. I just really thought this would be kind of a match stealer, so to speak. Perhaps if I would have changed it to that match aim, it would have actually done so. But regardless of the fact, a big story here that will be a little nugget to remember for later is that Stan Hansen was the man who attacked Misawa. That is why Hennig was so kind of sure in his abilities, and that's why he challenged Misawa. Definitely was a calculated risk, so to speak, because he knew that Hansen was going to be involved before he made the challenge. Here we have Brett and Sting being announced as number one contenders for the IC title, who will be facing off to become the lone number one contender for the IC title. Obviously, on Saturday night's main event, we had Brett face Jake the Snake Roberts. He lost that bout, but he would wrap up Jake's legs post-bout in a figure four-like position and try to injure his legs. Vader won a bout on that same pay-per-view, which makes him the contender for this pay-per-view. So obviously, Brett couldn't get a rematch right off the bat. Sting was in a heavyweight number one contenders bout and lost that to Adonis, who I will explain why he is not in action this pay-per-view, actually. Well, I guess now is a good as time as any. He was in the main event of TV leading up, one of the TVs leading up. I believe the one directly after Saturday night's main event, and left with a noticeable limp, and then stated that he will not be able to challenge for the title on this pay-per-view, and he asked for a delay, which was granted due to his injuries. So he will not be facing for the title tonight. I'm not sure if you saw the card earlier on the original screen from the start, but he is not in a match tonight. But we might see him, we might not. Regardless, Sting lost that heavyweight number one contenders bout, but rebounds after wins on TV to get a shot to become the number one contender for the IC title. Then we are on to our tag title match as Demolition faces Road Warrior again. They've kind of had a long-standing rivalry, plus the Road Warriors became the number one contender, I believe, on Saturday night's main event. Demolition just continue to keep their titles. They've had them for quite a while now, and I honestly can't remember when they won them. But they've held them for a very long time. Smash is actually starting to really come into, I believe he is the one who had kind of been holding the tag back. Animal, the same, as Hawk was definitely the lone contributor. Honestly, surprised it's only an 84, but, you know, I can't ask for much more. That's about the level that the title has been, and at that, it should be stated that it has increased over the Demolition's entire run. Title prestige kind of dropped slightly below an 80 initially, probably when they won it, perhaps, and then their first maybe couple title defenses, then solid 80 for a while, and as of lately has been mid 80s. Definitely not the highest it's ever been, but definitely shows progress for Demolition, and this has really been a huge project to really elevate Demolition as a solid team. However, the big story coming out of this is that Michael Hayes was the one who ran in and attacked the Road Warriors. So the Demolition lose this bout technically by DQ because of Michael P.S. Hayes' interference, but they will retain the titles. And following this bout, the Freebirds, all three, Jimmy Jam, Terry, Bam Bam Gordy, and Michael P.S. Hayes, attack Demolition. So now we have a huge mess in the tag title picture. The Freebirds have inserted themselves into the tag picture. They're attacking Demolition. The Road Warriors were the number one contenders, and they didn't lose. They actually won the match, but they don't have the titles. So we're going to have to see what the commission comes up with to decide this very messy, stinky situation moving forward. Then we have the Sting and Brett bout. Brett actually really killed it in this bout. Certainly, Sting, I'm not sure what's going on with him, to be quite frank. On his come up, so to speak, when he was really just running through all of the mid-carders to be a full-on established upper mid-carder, his performance ratings were tremendous, but Brett surprisingly really did very well in this match. He gets the win thanks to his tag partner Jim Neidhart. He will be facing Jake the Snake Roberts or his opponent, who I believe is Vader. the winner of that bout at the next pay-per-view, weather permitting, so to speak. But obviously he has a feud with Jake after his post-match attack, and him versus Vader would be a tremendous match between two of the up-and-comers, just like this Sting and Brett match. Full disclosure, I thought that Brett and Sting's rivalry in WCW was super cool. I mean, they were like two icons of the 90s. Definitely, I think that had they met more, I don't know. It's hard to say. In the early 90s, I think it would have been a really cool thing to see as well. But at the time that it happened, it was almost equally as cool because they were so established in the zeitgeist of wrestling, and they were really hot at the time. Nonetheless, great match here. Great performance by Brett. He is really starting to gain some traction from this singles push so far. Now, here I kind of have to really fine-tune what I'm doing with Sting, give him a push to kind of get him back to where I know he can perform. Here we have Jake cutting a promo on this match with Vader, as well as his thoughts on the number one contenders match that just transpired. Nonetheless, he will retain over Vader, and Vader is doing a very good job as well. Really helped contribute and make this a tremendous IC title bout. Defense number 5 for Jake, and this is what we want from Jake. There are a ton of, up-and-coming heels to which Jake is going to be able to work with if he can retain this IC title. Vader is definitely chief among them, and Brett is another one. So, I'm really excited to have him with the belt. Sort of like what we had Roberts do, or not Roberts, Piper do rather, when he had the IC title. He was in a great position to kind of elevate these youngsters while getting some wins to really build up their title reign, so to speak. So it's a really cool spot. Definitely a great way to do Jake Roberts justice. And a tremendous bout. I really thought, this would be a good bout, and it did not let me down. Here we have one of the kings on the mic, without a doubt. Piper cuts a promo. He had a title number one contender going into Saturday night's main event against Randy Savage. Ricky Steamboat won a bout on WrestleMania 4, which gave him a title shot at his choosing, and might not have been the smartest decision for Steamboat, but he decided to use it at Saturday night's main event, and Piper, who ate the pin, mind you, blames Steamboat for ruining his title opportunity. Now we have a singles bout between the two. And this one, I'm really surprised, did not get a higher rating. 90 and 95. Piper's still really showing that he's got the juice, so to speak. Steamboat also did not let down, but Steamboat will get the victory. So maybe he will get an increase or a bump in his performance. Nonetheless, it was a good bout, all things considered. I thought it was going to be more in the 90s territory, but regardless, it is what it is. Definitely going to have to keep this rivalry in mind. Piper is vindictive, he's rowdy, and a loose cannon, so he might not be finished with Steamboat just yet. Then, in the last segment, or angle rather, of the PPV, or I guess I might be speaking out of term. I guess we'll have to wait and see. we have the MegaPowers cutting a promo. Now, the story here for the main event is following Saturday night's main event. DiBiase and Harley Race were in a fatal four-way bout in which a IC title contender was going to be awarded. Vader won that match. Coming out of it, DiBiase decided, look, Harley, me and you, we're better off being on the same page. And I've got room on the payroll for you. So he brought Harley Race aboard to be a part of the $1 Million Corporation. Sort of an evolution from the Megabucks. It's a tag between Harley and DiBiase. Then, on the same television episode, Hogan was welcomed back by Randy Savage, saying that his injury was not career-threatening and that he would be back. Savage obviously welcomed him back because they're good friends. Their alliance goes deep, back actually facing DiBiase and Andre at the time, the Megabucks. They're good friends. Hogan saved Liz after she was injured following a brawl between Andre and Savage. They have deep ties. There was no really better option to welcome him back. But on the next TV, the one prior to this, the Go Home, it's nice when you only have two TVs because you have the opening one and then the Go Home right afterwards. So you can really just establish a story and then get it ready for the pay-per-view. But we had Harley and DiBiase attack these two, leading them to challenge them. Now, I'm sure you're wondering, well, the motivation obviously, I think, goes is that DiBiase and Race have their sights set on the man at the top, and if they have to go through Hogan to get there, that is a risk that they are willing to take. So, 4 of the best that the Fed has to offer are going to face each other in a tag match in our main event. And Hogan and Savage will take home the victory, but not by pinfall nor submission. Adrian Adonis, the man that we had found injured or thought to be injured, is the reason that this match ends so abruptly as he runs in and attacks Randy Savage during the night, or during the match rather, and gets the bell rung on the bout. Now, 93, certainly pretty good. It could have been better, obviously, had DiBiase helped boost it. The MegaPowers are freaking dynamite. They are definitely the two hottest acts. Harley and DiBiase, definitely going to be a good foil for those two moving forward, despite not getting a win. Savage's title run is really, really hot, and we are giving him the big push, so to speak, so far. And you got to give it to him. He's fully established as, the top guy in the company, and got to roll with it when you got a man with the hot hand, and that is certainly what we're doing. I mean, look, a 97, it's hard to beat Hogan with a 95, but a 97 will do it every time. But following the bout, man, it wasn't over, and that's why when I said that the previous angle was the last one, there was actually 2 more, I believe. But we have more for you. Perfect and Hanson, who we had seen kind of in cahoots prior, decide to attack Hogan. And Adonis, who had attacked Savage prior, continues to attack him post-match. Now, this definitely sets up angles with Perfect, Hanson, Hogan, Adonis, and Savage for the title. And why is Perfect and Hanson attacking Hogan? We know why Adonis would be attacking Savage. Obviously, he's going to have a title match with him in the future. But what is the motivation between these two? Why are they working together, for one? And why against Hogan? Was it an attack to hurt Savage by proxy? Also, why did Perfect not cash in the Money in the Bank? Perhaps it wasn't the right time. Perhaps there was too much commotion to successfully cash in. Maybe Adonis, attacking Savage post-match and all the refs being out. Well, they weren't. I mean, he's the first Money in the Bank winner. Perhaps in the commotion they didn't know the proper protocol and he tried to cash it in and it didn't work. There's a whole lot of story to be told coming out of this, and it is a story that I intend to tell moving forward. I really appreciate everyone coming to see it, and let's check out the final rating. Probably going to be, 93. Not bad, especially for a non-major pay-per-view. About as good as you can ask for. No complaints here. I appreciate you watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, like and subscribe. And ladies and gents, I will catch you on the flippity floop.